I am literally. I don't even want to use that word because it's too similar to his last name. I am fucking pissed at what we saw out there. I don't get it. I don't care if people clip this, run with it, whatever. I know my Texas fans are going to come in here, rightfully so, give this team, no, give us shit. This was bad from the get-go. You spot them 21 points. I have nothing to say. I'm gonna be clear with people, okay? I know people are in here, they want BV's head. I have nothing to talk about with BV's defensive side of the ball. You give up probably about 15 points defensively, and 7 of those came off of that off of the just a simple fact that they got the ball down there to what, the 15-yard line, 10-yard line. You open up the game on a pick that's returned to the 10-yard line. They get a touchdown. Okay, understandable. We go back out there on offense and we give up a fumble. We get they force a fumble and get a touchdown off of that. Then the third turnover in a row, you get a pick six. What Michael Hawkins was seeing, I don't know. There wasn't anybody over there in that area. If there were, if somebody had a better angle, somebody was at the game, I okay, then let me know. Like I said, I'm not getting on here to bash the defense. I have no issue with what the defense was doing. What can you play for? You're wasting a championship level defense. You're wasting this team's, really the entire team's. Just, my uncle called me. He said, "Hey, nephew, I just want to say, man, we're terrible.
Terrible.
We have no idea, no identity. We don't know what we want to do." The only bright spots of the game were the fact that Jackson looked like he grew up a little bit, the Jacob Jordan kid, and then outside of that, Caden Helms was on the field. Offensively, what else did you see out there? It was more of the same, more of the same, more of the same. And at the end of the day, you put Seth Luttrell and Joe John, your co-offensive coordinators, right, who share the smallest brain, right, together, because you put those two together up there in the box and you thought, hey, maybe this is a better look, right? Because Joe John sure as hell is not doing anything on the sideline except for flagging down plays for audibles. You can do that with your GAs, with your analysts, all the rest of that stuff. However, you put those two side by side, and what do you get? You get 9 points against South Carolina. And South Carolina have no issue with them. I don't think that they're a great team. I don't think that I don't care about all this. They're close and this and that, whatever the case may be. They are what they are. They came in here. We spotted them 21 points. Once we got down by 21, that was game. That was it. Then
that's 3 minutes in.
The only thing that I will say with BV outside of the offense, BV, love you. Got to figure it out all the way around, because that doing that fake punt, stupid as hell. Stupid as hell when your defense is getting stops, getting 3 and outs, making them work the field, and then you go do that. Shane Beamer, I promise you, Shane Beamer did not expect any of that. He expected a fight all the way throughout that game, probably to the last quarter. But the fact of the matter is that yet again, we cannot play complementary football. Hell, we can't even run competent offense, right? JJ Hester, good sometimes, bad most times, right? So I'm going to give the floor up. I'm start going through comments. I'm going to give the floor up to these two gentlemen, but I cannot excuse the bullshit that's out here. And I'm sorry for that. I'm cussing and stuff like that. Y'all know I love to have a good time. I love to talk. If there's one thing, I always say it, I hate losing. But if there's one thing I hate more than losing, is losing to a bum. And the fact of the matter is, you got your ass kicked
by a half-ass.
Well, I mean, you know, they've got talent. Let's not confuse this. They're talented in a lot of spots. I mean, let's not confuse this. But first off, it's a new hat for another Sooner accumulating losses. This is the Stray Dog Bar in Michigan. For anybody, this is to symbolize that I wish I had been drinking all day instead of focusing on OU, so that's why it's a bar hat. Because the Sooner Schooner hat, the wheels are off it. So, I mean, we've got to face facts here, and we're going 5-7. I mean, it is happening. It's the reality of what's going on, because there's no improvement happening on offense, on the offensive line, in play call. I mean, the play calling. I mean, was it, the blocking schemes? Why are you having Bauer Sharp block one of their defensive ends? You're on mute there.
It's the All-American defensive ends.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mean, Stewart won't be an All-American, but Kennard will be. Stewart will be an All-American next year. Kennard will be like a top 15, top 20 pick, probably something like that. It's just, and the white, everyone's like, well, you can't fire Emmett Jones. Well, what's going on? What the hell is going on at wide receiver? Why are guys appearing and then disappearing? What's happened? Zion Kearney gets catches one game and then he does it the next. Petaway, has been on a milk carton since the Tennessee game. It's baffling. The whole offensive thing is just completely baffling and just a complete mess. I would, if this was the NFL, you'd can them all and move on. I mean, at this point, just can both Luttrell and Joe John Finley, bring in bring in Graham Harrell on a part-time contract, because at least he can coach the quarterback position because he played it. I mean, I'm just saying, hire him for 4 games, right? Like that is hire him for you're not doing anything. Hey, hire you for 4 games. I mean, do something.
I think the thing that pisses you off like the most about Luttrell, right? You see Grimes up there at Kansas. Now, I'm not saying that he's calling his best year this year, but you saw him down there at Baylor. He had an understanding. He played offensive line, so he would build plays off of that, right? He understood the strengths of his team, but he also understood it from that, like schematically, just that standpoint. Like, hey, I got to make sure I'm putting my offensive line in good position so the rest of the team can be successful. With Joe John, right, playing tight end, right, being on the line. Then you see Seth Luttrell, who is also H-back, fullback, whatever you want to call him. You would think that they would have better understanding of like, okay, this is what's going to work. This is what's going to work. None of that shit has worked. None of it. And the fact of the matter is that, like I said, we can't play complementary football. We can't run competent offense. At times you saw things that you were like, hey, why don't we do more of that? Why don't we do that early and often instead of letting Stewart and Kennard get into our backfield, beat our offensive line? Why don't we help the offensive line out? Why don't we help our young quarterbacks out, which you saw them do with Jackson, running bootlegs and running him out there, getting him rhythm throws, and then let him be in there. One of the things about Jackson, one common thing that Jackson and Hawkins have in common is that they hold the ball way too long. They take coverage sacks, right? And you can't do that against South Carolina, especially. There were lanes to run, but they did have spies that had guys like that. But anything is better than taking a sack.
You're not even running plays that they can get it off fast, though. There's nothing that's quick. I heard him say something about the quick game last week. It's bullshit. Yeah. Everything takes too damn long to develop for them to get it out fast.
No, that's true. That's true. I
don't even know what we're talking about.
It's imploded completely. I mean, it has no rhythm, no functionality, no pace or intentionality to it. I mean, for crying out loud, it's South Carolina. We could have ran the ball on first down, second down, third down, and then punted with Luke Alzinga and been like 9-3 in the fourth quarter.
We could have, should have, would have. If I don't even want to hear that bullshit anymore, because at this point, and I got to tell you,
I just mean running the ball every down for 3 downs. Yeah. 3 downs and punt would have kept us in this football game.
Yeah,
to some degree.
Look, I hate to agree with everybody who's in here saying fire BV, but if Brent Venables is not going to get a handle on this thing, and he hasn't had a handle on this thing, all this having autonomy on the offensive side of the ball when it's a clusterfuck over there, there's no way that you can just blame this shit on everybody but Brent.
Oh no! Here's the number one.
Team.
The number one concern, if you're an OU fan right now, has to be: what is your confidence in Brent Venables' ability to hire an offensive coordinator to fix this mess?
Very little. I mean, look, he mailed it in on this one. And why do we wait until it's now to this point to where you're getting embarrassed by fucking South Carolina?
All right. The thing that baffles me is what went on in spring and what went on all summer, right? Because it looks like nothing was accomplished in either of those time periods.
The things we don't do the simple things right, and we make those things look difficult, just about as difficult than some of the more complex things that they want to run. Schematically, I'm just trying to figure out, like, obviously outside of the injuries, right, to your wide receiver core, you have durable guys, but JJ Hester is dropping balls. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Brendan Thompson's probably not a starter. He's a rotational guy, but he's probably not a starter on an actual like good team, right?
Where else?
Brendan Thompson's probably not even seeing the field at
the
Texas,
best guy you got
right?
here.
Then your younger guys and stuff like that, really you don't have any issues with what they're doing. You see flashes from Kearney. You saw Carion on the field. I was happy to see him on the field today. Raggins, I think Raggins and an actually competent offense would probably look really, really good. But you
would get him in space in a competent offense. You know what I saw from
one more thing, and I'm gonna let you go because Jason,
I'm sorry, man. My bad.
No, you good. Only thing I would say is right here is that running back wise as well. You saw Tatum. Tatum flashed today. At times he flashed. Javonte Barnes, hard runner, running hard. Happy for that. Where the hell is Sawchuk? Right? You saw Hicks today finally. Okay, that's good. I'm glad Hicks got some time. Where's Sawchuk? Right? So some of the guys that you came in here, thinking that like, hey, we're gonna have a team, we're gonna have a squad, this and that, whatever the case may be, because it just pisses you off because you're literally pissing down your leg, right? This defense is not gonna sit here and just hold everybody to 0 points, whatever the case may be. I don't believe that.
No, it's already starting to crack.
But the defense got 8 sacks today, right? 8+ sacks. You got all the rest of that stuff. Anytime that you see your defense have 8 sacks and all the rest of that, you're probably thinking, yeah, we won that game. But the fact of the matter,
the defense game. I mean, that you could tell the defense was like sick of this crap.
Yeah.
After the first interception, that was South Carolina just shoved the ball down our throat. I mean, they should have sacked whatever his name is in the backfield.
Yeah, they had Lenore on the very first one.
Yeah, he should have been sacked for loss, and then he cut back. And once they got in the red zone, I'm like, yeah, they're punching this in. The defense is like, fuck it, whatever. They played hard and they did really well. But I mean, again, it's just I don't understand how we've gone from flipping the equation from the end of the Lincoln Riley era, where we have no defense and we have a competent offense, to it's like we're not allowed to have competent teams on both sides of the ball. It's like there's some unwritten rule somewhere that we pissed off the college football gods that we're not allowed to have competent offenses and defenses. You're allowed one, but not the other. And do you want to fire DeMarco? I have no idea how to evaluate what's going on with him. Based upon the mess that's the offensive scheme and what's going on offensive line wise. You want to fire Bill? Go ahead. I got absolutely no defense from at this point. It's just sad. Other than you're going to lose your offensive line recruits, but if you can't develop them and get them on the field, what's the point of having 2 5-star offensive guard tackles in a class? So I don't know what's going on, but all I know is I think Brent has. Even if he hires someone on an interim basis, he needs a new play caller in. Use the main game and the bye week and that to get a new play caller in. I mean, you get your ass handed by Mississippi next week. I don't think there's any way around that short of Mississippi just crapping the bed left and right and you running the ball 3 times every, maybe you get a first, maybe you don't get a first down, but just run it every play. It's again, you have no confidence. I mean, I got lots of folks asking me, are we firing Brent Venables this year? I'm like, if he goes 5-7, I think Joe C gives him another year, but then that becomes a recruiting problem too, right?
Yeah, I don't think that. I think that it's premature. Dude just signed an extension, all the rest of this stuff. I don't think BV is the wrong coach for this, but I think BV.
I'm not going to agree with you. I have to disagree right now.
I don't know right now. I don't. If he slams his next OC hire, sure.
How can you have confidence in that?
The reason why I have confidence in BV is because I feel like if you get an actual OC in here, a competent OC who can move the ball,
he's gonna hire the guy.
I think that's a good fix. I think that is your first start to fix things.
Of course it is.
I think if you go out there, if you make the right hire with the OC will come in here and say, "Oh, I got a prize recruiter and a great developer as my wide receiver coach. I'll take that." Beat him, Bo. Yeah, I may want to mess with that just for a second, just to see if I can get that juice back, because they're gonna love that with the way he does develop guys. I know it hasn't shown this year. We got to start playing Tarquin and all of them, but still, I get that. But I think that a guy comes in here and he says, "Hey, look, I'm probably going to get a different running back coach and a different tight end coach." I don't think you necessarily hamstring, but I think that guy's going to come in here and say, "I can get this working." You need somebody who's trying to do north-south, trying to get up the field, trying to score touchdowns, trying to actually run competent offense. Right now, I don't even know what you're doing. Everything is so east to west. It's so sideways. There's no north-south. There's no shots down the field. There's nothing. They're running these spies. They're doing all the rest of that stuff. They don't fear this offense.
Shit. No shit. Guys. You cannot take up for Brent Venables right now. You can't do it because he is not. He mailed in this hire, mailed it in, and look, we knew last year and the year before that this autonomy bullshit was not cutting it. He is so focused and so detailed when it comes to that defensive game plan, and he mails in the offensive side. I can't believe I heard him say in the press conference the other day that I spent a little bit of time in the offensive meeting rooms. I've spent a little bit of time here and there. No, motherfucker, park yourself in there. Because at some point, you, as a defensive mastermind, should be able to have some input as to this is what they're trying to accomplish right here. How does this not registering with him? His defensive staff is fine. They don't need him in there. They need him over there cracking the whip on these guys, and fuck autonomy. What in the hell is DeMarco doing? What is he doing?
Well, how do we know what he's doing, right?
That's what I'm saying. I want to know.
To me,
I'm trying to find out.
You tell me DeMarco is a new guy comes in, looks at what DeMarco's doing and says, "Well, that's great. I keep him." I'd be like, "Okay," because I have no idea how to evaluate the running back coach based upon the complete lack of.
There's a bunch of Jags in that damn room aside from Taylor Tatum. That's how I evaluate it.
Well, I mean, but
and they're the ones that are fucking playing every week.
But Tatum's hurt. Tatum's missing assignments. He's a freshman. He
enrolled late. About missing assignments. He's the only guy that can break a freaking play.
Well, sure, okay. I mean, if you want DeMarco gone, I'm not going to defend him. But I'm saying I don't know. Just the running game in general, I don't know how to evaluate it based upon the complete lack of offensive cohesion or coordination, right? Like,
I agree with you.
Same with Emmett Jones a little bit, right? Like, he's got injuries. tell me you need to keep him. I'm like, okay,
Chris,
sure.
This all comes back to Brent Venables, though. If we don't know what's going on, why the fuck don't we? Because he don't know what's going on.
Go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
I don't know how this doesn't all go back to Coach V.
It does.
Football team. It's your football team, and it's your record. And every week you're coming in here and saying the other team was ready, we weren't. Why?
Well, South Carolina will lose football games, right? They've done it all year long. We just lost it before they could lose it. Right.
That's true.
And they were just up 21-0, up 21-0. It's like, well, why do I even need to try?
It's pretty damn special when you can out Carolina.
South Carolina. I mean,
let's try to answer this question here. We talked around it. We talked about it a little bit. Let's just answer it directly. 7 games into the season, people? 7 games into the season. Comments, please. What is the issue with the offense? Like, let's be real. Break it down. If somebody can provide a comment with just scheme-wise telling me what's wrong with the offense, outside of the obvious problem, the play caller, but what's wrong with the offense? We could talk, no excuses, no injuries. We know what Seth Luttrell is, what Joe John is. We talked about BV. What is the issue with this offense? Why is it not working?
Because they have no ability to identify what they do well, what they're not doing well, and take any advantage of the deficiencies on the defenses that they play against.
You got Stephen G, who says lack of a proven quarterback coach.
Sure, yes.
Blocking.
I mean, the list, everything is broken, right? There's no number one wide receiver. There's no leader on the offensive line. There's the running backs. It's not crazy as hell because South Carolina's DNs are that good. I mean, they sacked Bama 7 times last week. We knew this was happening. You knew that's the problem. You knew that was their strength at end, and you did nothing to neutralize or mediate it.
John Russell's got it right too. You don't even have an identity. What is their best play? Hell if I know.
Identify what scheme we're running.
Exactly. They took a couple of guys that aren't, I don't know what they are, but they're not the sharpest offensive minds in the damn of the steak knives that we got in the drawer. I'll tell you that. And they're out here, and you had Matt Wells, who has turned another freshman into a passer, and he runs pretty well too. But all of a sudden, look, you know what I saw from K-State? Simple shit. Literally on the third step in the kid's drop, the ball's coming out to the little swing out to the running back.
Okay, so I'm going to throw something out here, just incendiary.
Easy shit.
If Matt Campbell today called Joe C and said, "You let Brent go, I want the Oklahoma job, no questions asked. I'll be there December 5th." Why are you not doing it?
Oh, yeah, you got to do it.
Why are you not? If Matt Campbell, who has a freaking scheme, he can bring that freaking 3-3-5 guy with him. He runs a scheme. You give him OU's brand to recruit and add people. We're not getting this shit. We're not going 5-7 like this crap. He has a scheme. He knows what he's doing. He gets a lot out of his players.
Eco Jar, hopefully I'm saying that right. He says BV ain't the problem, but he will fix and fire whatever needs to be done.
You can't say that with any certainty.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm not telling you guys that I want to fire Brent Venables. I want Brent Venables to be the guy. I'm just telling you, I don't know that I believe in that right now because he hasn't shown me that look, when you come in and you're not, I mean, at least the first year, it was like somebody kicked his damn dog when they lost. Now we're hearing he was pretty upbeat when he came in.
But that was because his defense was the reason why we were losing games, right?
No, I know. But the point is that he's not decisive. He's not decisive. He's not learning to to do the entirety and be a CEO. That's the problem. And because here's the one thing, your culture is all built around this. Here's my problem right now. Your culture is all around that we are here for you. We want to make you successful as the player. We want to turn you into a man. Well, you know what? Men they make hard choices. They don't, instead of making excuses for these offensive guys or not getting rid of them when you should, because you know what? If you fire Latrell last week, you know what you send a message to not only the recruits, but the guys that are already on your roster that, you know what? I love this guy, but there's nothing I won't do to put you in a better position to be successful. Nothing. That's the message that you're trying to send at that point. I'm not telling you that I want Brent to leave. I don't want him to leave. And Nino said it in the comments a second ago. Shit, he's got 6 years left. He ain't going nowhere right now. They're at least going to give him another year. But I'll tell you this, if this continues like this and you're getting blown out by bottom level teams in the SEC, like South Carolina, what do you think is going to happen whenever they go up next week against Ole Miss? What's going to happen when you play freaking Alabama that's got an offense?
I tell you, there's 30,000 Bama fans in Norman for a blowout victory. And the Crimson in the stand is all fucking Alabama Crimson. Mm-hmm. They've all showed up, and, you know, all the Alabama fans have showed up, and tickets are going to be dirt cheap on the OU side. You could have gotten to the game today for like $15.
Oh, Joe C, a bag of rice.
Joe C, you know, I'm just saying there is, you know, it's one thing to say, well, I mean, it's one thing to say Brent can hire a new offensive coordinator, and maybe, and you know, but then it's a hope, right? There's nothing. He hired Jeff Lebby, and apparently Jeff Lebby is a maniacal genius, right? Oh. Based upon what we're seeing today. I mean, Jeff Lebby is like the Einstein of offense compared to the guys we have right now, right? He's like, you know, he's like Copernicus or Isaac Newton compared to the dolts we have today who can't, he can't figure out anything. I mean, it's.
I see a lot of people in here when they're talking about the offensive line. It's really it is kind of like the main culprit. That's what
not even
seems to be the consensus. I don't necessarily think it's.
I don't think that's it.
It's a culprit.
It's part of it, but there's a lot of
it is. It's a big part of it, but it's just your quarterback play.
Is Bill designing the play that has a tight end blocking one of their defensive ends? Is that Bill or that's the offensive coordinator?
The offensive coordinator's
role, Bob. You know, I mean, is Bill's having a terrible year, terrible evaluations, injuries hurting him at key points. He's not had the offensive line he thought he would have, but he's not developing anybody. He's not making the tough decisions to bench guys and just play freshmen. I mean, we should have been. I mean, guys, we should have been starting Logan Howland from game one.
Are we
at left tackle? He should have been starting game one at left tackle.
Are we done with the Jakes? I'm just talking about just as a panel right here. Are we done with the Jakes?
They're just playing the wrong position. Jake Sexton is a right tackle and needs to stick at right tackle, and Jake Taylor is a guard and needs to play guard. I mean, if Tyler Guyton's on this football team, right, to be at one of those pointless conversations, he's at left tackle and he handles those guys today. He does. He just does. I mean, he does. He's. You need an athlete and you need a talented guy to handle those guys today one-on-one. We don't have them, so you should have done everything to double team them and do something different, and then do something that take advantage of the fact that Stewart doesn't even pay any attention to anything. Is just flying upfield, right? Yeah. I mean, you had to do something. The problem is that you wasted all spring, summer, and August in development. I don't know what happened, why it happened, but you just lost all this time.
You're about to start losing recruits, man.
Well, you're gonna okay. I'm the recruiting guy, right? So let me just say a reality.
Jump on that.
Reality for everybody. We are going to lose recruits. I know nothing. I have not interviewed Michael Fasusi or Ryan Foji. I don't know them, and I'm not in contact with them. But I can tell you, we continue to get our ass handed to us in the SEC for the next 4 weeks with a main bye week, short of NILing them like, a fool's fortune. We're going to lose at least one of those guys. We're probably going to lose Omarion Robinson to Arkansas. I don't know Omarion at all, but Arkansas is playing good football, and they'll have a way of reeling him back. I think the other safety guy is too. He's wired into being a Sooner. I don't think that's going to change. He's wired into stuff. Probably keep most of the Texas kids, but Cortez Mills. Have to pray and hope Trenton Wilson likes what's going on the D-line. The defenders, I think, for the most part, we may lose Omarion Robinson. We can obviously go get another safety. But offensively, I think you lose two receivers. I mean, Marcus Harris was at the game today. Is he thinking, I don't want to be any part of this shit? Or is he thinking, damn, I'm starting game 1 next fall? So you just don't know. But yeah, I mean, the problem is the 26 class. If you go 5-7 and everyone's saying fire Brent, how are you recruiting your 2026 class, right? You're not. And you do all of your recruiting before you play a game. And if he slams the offensive coordinator hire with someone who's just so obvious, so obvious that it's great, and then everything, and we hear spring ball looks fantastic. Yeah, you can recruit, but this is all hurting 26 because let's just be factual. Brent goes 5-7 this year and 7-5 next year. He's getting fired. I mean, he is. I mean, the schedule helps us a little bit next year. We get more home games, although we had a home game today. It didn't make a bit of difference.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that this is where we are. Brent needs to start doing some stuff with some urgency. And I said, fire Lebby and fire Luttrell, Seth Roof, Seth Lebby, whatever, Seth Luttrell, and Joe John today. Go grab somebody. Graham Harrell is literally sitting around. Go grab him. He knows how to coach quarterbacks. And Purdue is horrible, but he can't coach quarterbacks. It's something different. It's an active move that also says the OU job is available November 31st, right? November 30th is when we play LSU?
Yeah.
November 31st, have your agent start calling Josie and negotiating. If you're a big-time offensive coordinator and you want $3 million, come on down.
So let's get into some names.
Scott Frost. That's a great name. Bring in Scott Frost.
That's who my uncle is. He's been in my ear about Scott Frost. He was like, hey, stop some of the off-the-field stuff. Talk about that another day. But they said, you stop that. Another head coach, a guy who knows how to run offense. You can sit there and say, yes, he had his problems up there in Nebraska, but if I'm going to bring up a short list, and I should have made the list, but if I'm going to bring up just a short wish list,
if you guys want to go to my Patreon site, I have a short list for you.
Go ahead, plug it real quick.
On my Patreon site, if you want to know the short list, I put up a short list.
It's in the link. I mean, it's in the bio, people.
I got my short list up there. I've got the recruiting information that you want. I did a podcast on Friday when I went on a massive rant about why we're not offering kids. If you want to follow my pod on YouTube or anywhere else, I'll have a recruiting post up tomorrow. I was waiting to hopefully have some positive news. I'm not sure how you get to that, but So Chris, let's just go round table. So your first choice for a new offensive coordinator is?
My first choice for offensive coordinator at OU, I would say I really like Casey Woods down there at SMU, guys. I do. And if I could just kind of give a short list, I would say Casey Woods at SMU. I would say probably Will Korn. I think Will Korn next.
Where's he?
Scott Frost is not necessarily on my list, but I would like that hire. I think Will Stein is another guy. Those three right there would kind of be at the top of my list. I don't know if you can go and get Andy Koltenecki now from Penn State. I'm not sure if you could do that. Jason, I think you're on mute.
Oh shit, I am on mute. Yeah. You better go try to get Andy Koltenecki. I mean, I think that if that would probably be one of
the cost of that has just doubled.
So
I'm with you.
I don't give a shit what it costs.
Who's this guy who keeps suggesting Dirk Cutter? I mean, seriously.
Listen, where I would start with Tim Beck would be probably 1A for me. I like Tim Beck. I like Will Stein a lot. I was when Chris, I was thinking Will Stein as well. Look, I would go back after Matt Wells if you're gonna stick with the route that where we're headed as far as if you're gonna stick with the air raid. Matt Wells was the guy. You should have had him already.
Matt Wells, with what they're doing at K-State, that's the offense that you could have ran this year and would have had success. You would have had some success. I'm not saying you would have set the world on fire, but the offense that he's running for Avery Johnson right now, it's
going to be averaging 20 points.
It suits
only because you scored 50 or 60 early.
It suits guys like a Hawkins or Jackson Arnold. It suits them very well, at least where they're at right now.
Matt has never really been a bad coach. And that wasn't why they let him go at Tech. There was issues between him and
the money guys, right?
The AD and the money guys. Yeah, it had to do with a lot of that other stuff. He immediately got on the bad side of their athletic director. I don't know the whole story, but I can just tell you that it didn't have shit to do with their coaching abilities because they were winning. He won 8 games his first year. And that's coming off of Cliff Kingsbury's debacle that he had going on there. Never could win over 7 games with Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield as his quarterbacks. You know, it's insanity to me. But the point is there's a lot of guys out there that you could go get. You know, we were talking about the guy from Liberty. Love him. You know, again, Tim Beck, he just does more with less. Just does more with less. There's lots of guys out there that I mean, look, I would probably empty the bank account for a guy. Scott Frost, I don't think he's damaged goods. The guy he wasn't a good head coach.
Well, you don't have to.
Damn good coordinator.
You don't have to empty the bank because Nebraska's probably still paying him, right?
Facts.
I mean,
Facts. And it's a good he knew how to put a defense.
But he's unemployed right now, right?
Sure, I think so. And he may
be. So go hire him.
Why not?
Give him 5 weeks and say, look, dude.
Yeah.
Everything has cratered completely.
We just talked about Koltenecki and you're acting like that's I don't know how easy that is. It's fucking Oklahoma. You can get him. If that's who you really wanted, you could go get that guy.
Let me ask you this right here. We get a new OC, which I think that
and new portal quarterback.
That's what I was just about to go to. Do you have to get into the portal for a quarterback as well?
Okay, here's the portal shopping list. All right, right now that you have to you have to recognize. Here's your portal shopping list. All right, new offensive coordinator, QB coach. You need to spend at least $3 million on it. New tight end coach, at least $600K, unless there's some prodigy I don't know about. New O-line coach, $2 million. New running back coach, $1 million, because the guy you should hire is Tessard Choice, but you're not going to get him because you screwed that up. Portal-wise, you've got $2 million for starting quarterback, $600K for a new tight end, and you need at least one elite offensive tackle for $2 million. Also, while we're throwing money around, we need to throw another $1 million at Fasusi and Foji to keep them around. So the shopping bill for this right now is around $10, $12 billion. And that's not even factoring in that if we start losing a bunch of players, especially on defense, they start hitting the portal. So, because we're going to get poached like crap. You cannot defend keeping BB at this point. If he stays, it's fine, but you Anybody says they want BB gone, they are completely and utterly justified. I don't know what Byron Leftwich brings you. Where is he? Has he coached a college game? Is that a requirement? I mean, guys, I got a weird ass name which I can't give you guys for offensive coordinator that was like out of left field. I'm like, holy crap. So do you go NFL? I mean, Sark had NFL experience and came back and is much better than he was when he was at Washington. So do you go somebody from the NFL who's available?
Why not? Why wouldn't you? I mean, that's the whole, it's still football.
Well, exactly. So I think there's no requirement. You hire the best guy and you tell them they have full control over scheme and the coaches under them. Go.
Yeah.
No requirements. Don't tell the new guy you got to keep this person.
Whoever the hell you want to bring them. Here's your budget. Go get them.
Go get them. You got a better name? Well, yeah, he would be, but is he going to leave JMU for BROC? I don't know about that. They're also getting their ass handed to them by Georgia Southern today.
What about the guy down at Texas State? You know, what about a guy like Jeff Traylor?
Well,
these guys are there. G.J. Kinney's a bad dude, man. All he's done is just win every damn where he goes.
Okay, sure. In the NIL world, Jeff Traylor makes more sense, right? Sure. Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of guys you could get, but you're just going to have to just realize that I don't see any way, and this is no knock on Jackson Arnold at all, just because everything is so broken around him. I don't see any way. Yeah, Bevo's bodyguard, very, very funny. Very, very funny. I don't see any way that Arnold, who obviously is the quarterback for the rest of you can't go back and forth anymore. You're just going to stick with Arnold from this point. There's any way that Jackson Arnold can do anything this year that would make you think that you don't have to get a portal quarterback to compete. Yeah, I mean, there's some names you could throw out there that, I mean, again,
I think just a competent play caller would help. You've got talent. You get a competent play caller.
Well, George Stoya says there's no talent, so there are differing opinions on that.
This is what makes me laugh about it, though, is because all the guys that you got were all recruited by other big time SEC programs.
Well, and they're all and George works for On3. On3 ranked all these guys pretty highly too. So
there's that. Most of them, to be honest. But
I don't know that Kingsbury would be a great hire. But that's. I mean, there's a lot of people. I would say there's a lot of people that want no one from the Texas Tech coaching tree at this point.
Count me as one of them, please.
That want to move to a more pro set offensive scheme, something that defines more physical running game.
Billy Napier, yeah, why not Billy?
Well, he may not be out of a job, though.
He's out of a job.
He may not be.
Come on.
Well, he's
a long time ago.
He's going to beat the crap out of FSU.
Well, that's not hard.
Well, but that helps him a little bit. He's the second program he's the second program in the state, not the third program in the state.
So you don't.
He beat UCF. He beat UCF.
People keep throwing Joe Brady in there, and I say, man, if Joe Brady actually wants to come back to the college,
if he wanted to go to college, it'd be a great idea. He doesn't.
Yeah,
he doesn't want anything to do with recruiting. He hates that shit.
Yeah, we don't. So the talent question is always, it's the sticky. I don't know that we have talent. I don't know that our talent problem, how deep our talent problems are, right? I just don't.
I don't either. Sean Lewis, well, you should have hired, if you were going to hire Sean Lewis, you would have hired him.
Already done it. Should have already done it. He's got a head coaching job at San Diego State. He ain't going nowhere.
I always fall back to
hold on. We're not saying, we're talking about him as OC, dum-dum. You got to actually listen.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So they're barring some off the field a rest meltdown that I can't even imagine with this roster. Brent's getting another year. Okay. Reality one. If you're
he's
saying
getting at least another year, yeah.
he's getting another year.
They're not firing him right now.
He's not getting fired. No.
They're playing too well on the defensive side. But the problem is that you have to make this has to be an unbelievable hire that immediately turns this thing around.
Well, okay. So I hate saying this, but if you're a Sooner fan listening to this, you need to this year has gone so badly, you need to reset things in your mind, right?
Yeah.
We need to hire a new offensive coordinator, get a portal quarterback to compete with, I think, Jackson Arnold, redo the offensive staff, right? And then be competent next year at offensive football, right? With that schedule, getting above 500, going 8-4 is the maximum you can probably hope for.
So,
right?
Yeah.
It's 26 when David Stone, Jackson, they're all seniors. Boganowski are juniors. Kit Lewis is a senior. Kobe's a senior. You've got all of those. You've got Bowen won't be around, I don't think, because he'll be gone. No, he'll be around, wouldn't he? Yeah, he's only a sophomore. Yeah. You got the Bowens, the Boganowskis, the Cortland Guillories, all those guys in the secondary. You've got your senior linebackers, and you've got, Nigel Smith, Jaden Jackson, Okoye, all those guys ready to roll. That's when you need to have the offense rebuilt for. So the guy needs to come in next year, reestablish competent offense, and then be ready for 26 with a veteran quarterback. Whoever's offensive line coach put all the talent we've got over the last couple of years together, all the wide receiver talent. They got to obviously find tight end talent unless Davin Mitchell morphs into Keith Jackson in the offseason, which he's got the talent to do it. But we're resetting where we are. It is 26 until we are realistically have any chance of competing for an SEC title.
Let me jump in here real quick. So we got Sooners, Cowboys, no NFL talent on offense. That's a lie. 5 of them are sitting on your sideline, and you got a couple of guys that are going to be really good. Just right now, play calling is a mess. Is Kendall Briles out of the question? Is Hell still hot right now? Yes. No way. If you're going to go get Kendall Briles, you might as well go and just pull Sonny Cumbie out of Louisiana Tech and just call it a day. You know what I'm saying? Like that's yeah. I mean, that's what that move says to me. Let's see. I wouldn't necessarily go get Jeff Traylor. I think Jeff Traylor is more in line to get a P5 job. I think like somebody said, the Baylor job probably will come open or whatnot. I think you'll probably be able to get somebody like GJ Kinney to leave Texas State as the head coach.
He's leaving Texas State. It's coming. They're trying to hire him right now to be Baylor's head coach. Yeah. Does he take the job at Oklahoma as the coordinator, thinking maybe I end up with that job? Because Baylor's a dead end shit show job.
Hey, he's ready to drop money, and they will sling a little money, I believe.
Come on, man. There's no more Matt Rule there. There's no more Matt Rule there, man. And I think that do they go back to listen? If BB doesn't make it, here's a question though that I have, because I don't know what's going to happen. I believe that we need to give him time if he makes a good hire, but you've got to get your finger on the pulse of this thing no matter what. You got to do it. If you have a guy that you know is the man, that like he is the guy, and you know you don't have to mess with that side of it, you still need to be involved and know exactly what the game plan is and why he wants to call it this way and that. The detail that you put into your defensive game plans has got to translate to the other side at some point. I don't give a shit who you get. But the truth is how do you trust that that's going to happen? So if this doesn't work, let's say that they go whatever they go this year, shit, I don't know. And then
let's call it 5-7. The team we've seen today is not beating Ole Miss and Oxford. Could beat Maine at home, I think. is losing to Missouri and Columbia.
If they lose to Maine at home, he's gone that
Well,
night.
that's what I wanted to ask you guys. Are we bowl eligible at the end of the year?
No, it's nothing unless there's some. No, we're not. Okay, insanity is looking at the same results over and over again and expecting a different result, right? I mean, that's the joke. That's the joking thing, right?
We all want Venables to work. We all want him to work, guys. Look, I think the culture that he's trying to establish there is fantastic. I think it works. But here's the thing. He's still focused on one side of the football, and until that stops, it's not going to work. And right now, he has no answers.
No, he hasn't fixed any of the problem. I mean, so we are going. We are not beating Missouri on the road. Alabama at home, unless Alabama just gives the game away in some weird way.
Just saying that you fired those offensive coordinators is showing that you are going to do something.
And you publicly need all of November to be interviewing new offensive coordinators. The new guy has to be in place by December 3rd. Because you've got to be in a position to get a portal quarterback.
To keep your class.
You've got to be in a position so it would be, like I said, you've got, somebody who's sitting on the sideline that needs to rehab their image, like the old Saban car wash, but was a head coach, but as a veteran offensive coordinator makes a lot of sense to me, right? Get them in, bring them in, let them park themselves at OU for 3 years, establish a system, and if they move on, it's fine. You can replace them with somebody who has a system. So so obviously, I never thought Jeff Lebby would.
I like Clint Kubiak too, but somebody was saying, who the hell were they saying up here? But Dan Mullen, that you want to talk about a guy that'd be a rehab guy.
Yeah, but isn't the ESPN gig too sweet and too much?
Yeah, it kind of is, but he's a weird dude. But it doesn't really exactly fit with this coaching staff. But again, if we're talking about how many of those guys are there, damn good. People are going to start saying stupid shit like Lincoln Riley. That shit ain't happening. We already know. But here's the thing. I don't.
Look, Josh Heupel might. Everyone's saying the Tennessee people are all concerned. Josh Heupel might be BV might be fired, and we're going to steal Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel's offense has completely derailed. They should worry that they should.
Yeah, but it's Tennessee, for God's sakes.
Yeah, but it's just they
lose all the time. This shouldn't surprise anybody.
Yeah, I just, Chris, I don't see us being bowl eligible, which sucks because our quarterbacks badly need bowl time. Our young offensive linemen need bowl time.
Have talent.
But the question is obviously if it's the same guys coaching them, what can you really get out of a bowl season? Maybe people just get hurt. So maybe it's just better to just pull a plug on the fucking season and move on,
But you cannot have them mailing in the rest of the season, man. What you have to do is you need to start seeing a lot more Ivan Carry on. You've got to start seeing some of these Isaiah Autry-Dent guys at left tackle that's over 320 pounds now as a freshman. You need to find some of these guys that you've got in as freshmen, and you're going to have to put them in because the bottom line is you have to develop or show that you can. But to do that, you've got to get another guy to call play. I don't even care if it's Emmett Jones. Let him call the fucking plays. Who cares? It can't be worse, can it? Hell, I could get Norman to do it, and he would call better plays. My dog.
It's a language gap. But other than that, I totally buy it.
Well,
I totally buy that.
I just want to see OU football. I just want to see complimentary football. I want to see the offense give this defense something to play for, to go out there and be. It's just today was just a bad day. I think in the remaining time that we have, because we talked all around it, but let's just kind of talk, just trying to jump in here in depth into the game. Obviously, Hawkins to start. I don't know what that was. I don't necessarily know what he was saying. I think he made a good read on the first.
Can I answer that one for you?
Go ahead.
Took in less than 11 months. They have taken 2 guys with supreme confidence and flushed the shit down the toilet. And when in the case of Hawkins, it happened in a month.
2 weeks, really.
I feel like you have
2 weeks.
You have taken some of his strengths away from him. The decisiveness that we saw towards the end of the Tennessee game, and then also.
Well, was that fool's gold though? I mean, really.
I don't know if it was, man, because literally you've seen him do that, and now it feels like he's hesitant to. It feels almost like he's being told, "Hey, I'm going to make plays." They told me to make plays, but make plays within the system. You get what I'm saying?
Don't turn the ball over. Don't turn the ball. Shit.
Not only that, but like, hey, don't take off and run just so quick. Let the play actually develop. And I think one of the announcers he said it best was like, I think BV was telling them like, hey, that's an issue that we have. We're sitting here trying to run, 16-yard hitch routes, and then also we're doing 4 or 5 step drop backs, and we're trying. It just never is going to work.
No.
And I just don't know where Seth Luttrell lost his groove, because I've seen him with North Carolina with a quarterback that couldn't throw half as good as Hawkins or J.A., and I've seen him take that team to the ACC championship.
Because you're trying to marry a system with its RPO-based cousin, these are not the guys that are able to get that done.
At the very least, you would think that, because you look watching his Texas North Texas teams, their offense was like a poor man's version of Colton Necky's Kansas offense. It was a very poor man's version. Hell, but you don't see any of that. But I think what you're saying is true. So I mean, I think that it has. Mentally, it has kind of crippled a little bit, but like I said, you saw Jackson kind of grow up a little bit today in spots. With time, he looked good. The lone touchdown that we were able to score, I mean, it looked good, but these guys are taking coverage sacks. Run game wise, like I said, it was better than what it's been, but it still didn't put a dent in anything. We still have yet to have.
It didn't happen until they were already down 28. Shit.
Yeah.
The offense is mentally weak.
I feel like
that's what's happened, and it's dragged everyone down.
Top, Chris. That trickles down.
Exactly. It's dragged down.
Let me jump in here. Let me jump in here 1 second, because you said something. I think it was last week or this past Sunday, and I was thinking that the whole time in the second half. Hey, instead of trying to marry these two concepts, instead of trying to do this, if you want to run, if you're an air raid guy, just run air raid. Pick your best 8 to 10 plays. Let's run that. I mean, get up and down the field, and you didn't even see that in the second half. That's what really pissed me off,
bro. You said it before, after the Tennessee game. We both said the same thing. Chris was talking about it. Yeah, you tried to marry these two damn systems together, and they don't know how to do it.
Well, they don't. At some level, I just wonder if they're so incompatible. What are you doing? I mean, it's the time for reevaluation is done. The die is cast. We've crossed the Rubicon of offensive ineptitude. It's time to fire some people and get a new play caller in, because you need to publicly be very clear. I need a new offensive coordinator. Get your resumes in.
If you had 6 plays, that's what you ran for the next 2 weeks, and you could put it in different looks. That's what Lincoln did all the damn time. It was the same play.
Lynch's play sheet was like a piece of paper.
It's this big.
Like folded this big.
Correct. It's 11 plays. That's the Leach playbook too.
Yeah, I mean,
and you make it look different with motion and different formations and different things here and there. That's all it is. If you did that for the next 2 or 3 weeks, then you would get better, because you know what? You're just drilling them on the same thing. The concepts would get there. That's never even crossed the mind of these guys.
So
it doesn't feel like.
Last comment, but I'm going to bounce. Horrible comment.
I gotta go.
Do you remember the classic movie Unnecessary Roughness? Scott Bakula as the quarterback. Kathy Ireland is the kicker. The Texas State Armadillos. If you haven't, go find it. But it's like the coach is like,
Death penalty Dillos.
He's like, he's like, well, why are you calling the same play for the third time in a row? And he's like, because we haven't actually run it the first 2 times. It's like that, right? That's what the offense looks like. You can't, it's like, why are you calling the same play for 3 times in a row? Because we haven't run it correctly the first 2 times. That's where we are. That's where we are.
We are. You know what? We haven't done it in a while, and I meant to do it this past week, but I just, things came up, kind of got busy with work or whatnot. But I will say this right here. I think, gentlemen, this week we could do a Ole Miss preview, whatever we want to call it or whatnot, but we need to have a State of the Oklahoma address. I think it's appropriate given the climate of all the politics or whatever. We're just talking football, people know politics, but listen, we need to do a State of the Oklahoma address. I always do it on my show each year, just kind of addressing the program midway through the season, just telling you kind of what it is, what it ain't, what it can be, and what it should be. But this year we definitely need to talk about it. And I think we could talk about it in depth because I think everybody is pissed, hurt, confused, mad, and deservedly so. I mean, all those emotions. People are laughing at us right now, and deservedly so. We are not a good team. Good defensive team, but we're not a good overall team.
And the worst thing is Georgia probably loses. Texas probably beats Georgia tonight. So our number 1 recruiting rival in back-to-back years has wins over the powers of college football.
Can I get a go, Dogs?
You can, but I don't think it's going to. You can, but I just don't think. I don't think it's going to make a difference.
I don't know if it is either. I wouldn't be surprised if Texas won the game. I hadn't thought that all year. They were better than we thought they were on defensive side.
You're trying to find a reason to hate, and it's just it's hard.
Well, they have a good defensive coordinator, and they've had the same system for 3 years, right? So it's what we're finally hit, right? Good defensive coordinator, 3rd year, everything sort of clicks. And Sark is a good offensive coordinator, so they have a scheme and identity.
Well,
they've lucked out that Sark found Kwiatkowski, and it's a scheme that works for him. They have.
Well, people, go ahead and let's wrap this up real quick. Like I said, we'll be back. Hell, we may be back tomorrow to talk even more. But I guess we'll start with you. We'll give Jason the last word. Chris Mason, what are your parting shots, your final thoughts?
Stick with Arnold and find someone else to call plays for the last 5 games of the season. I don't know who that is, but just find anyone, and to establish that we need a new offensive coordinator. So the best OCs out there are getting their resumes in early.
Yeah, Chris, we appreciate that, man. And I would just say, to back up what you're saying, I think that at this point, you need to be a lot more public about what you're doing here. If what we're hearing about, behind the scenes, this, that, whatever, it needs to be out in the open that these guys are not going to be in charge of it. If you're trying to hold on to players, your own players for that matter, they need to know what the hell's going on. So do your recruits. If you hope to keep in it, and you're going to lose some, you just said it yourself. A lot of these guys are probably gone. I don't even know who they're. You got to start with the coordinators that don't know their ass from whatever. Anyway, you got to start there. The play calling definitely should change. I don't care who you get to do it. I don't care who you get to do it, as long as it's somebody other than Seth Luttrell and Joe John Finley. I don't want them in charge of shit. They shouldn't be. And in the end, if you want to, BV has to stop trying to keep everything in house. He doesn't want to throw anybody under the bus. He's throwing himself under it right now.
Sometimes it sucks trying to be professional, but I'll say this right here, guys. Look, we we got to figure something out. We all need to hold hands and get into a praise circle right now, because that's what's going to take to will this team through. We are fighting for bowl eligibility right now, people. And I think that's the God's honest truth. But people, I got to bounce. I think these two need to bounce as well. We will be back. We will be back. So we will talk to you guys soon. We definitely got some stuff that we'll maybe try to drop or whatnot, but not looking great right now. But with that being said,
you know, there's a lot of great OU podcasts,